Hi folks, Ian here. I'm just going to talk to you about a console cup holder that's on the front of Jaguar XJ 1997, and it's attached to the front of the lid on these ones, and you may have seen a few other videos. What happens is these lugs here, where are we? There, break the ends off, or they break the lug off, and like that one there. And so I did a bit of hunting around, and I couldn't find much in the way of things to buy. If I got to send away to America, whatever, to try and get something that somebody else has already made up. In luck, I happened to find on the internet a photo of what appears to be a later model one, which is just after the 1997 model Jag. This is 98, and you'll notice that has on the lid side some lugs already let into the lid with hinges like this, and you'll see they have that there, and that has been broken out as well, the same. So someone's done a conversion, but it must be a different lid off the later model. From what I've read of, is available, and so I went about finding a hinge that would make up the same sort of setup. It has turned out quite well, a bit tedious, a little bit of a slow job. I've had to have about 3 goes. I've got 3 different types of hinges and found they weren't quite going to reach correctly into here and into where I needed here. So I've copied what that photo had, and I've cut out into that area there where this here was actually joined up onto the side of that inner side of that hinge on both sides. And you can see there, I've I can get it out of there, sorry, just a sec. There, where are we? Yeah, there. And basically only left a little minuscule left on that lip on the bottom there. And then what I've done is it's a little bit clearer there. I've then I've tried out the hinges, and what I've discovered, what you need to do is absolutely must make sure that the hinge that you use, the pivot point for the hinge absolutely must be equal to where that pin is. Otherwise you will not be able to get that lid to lever action in the right way, that it will finish up in the very same place so that it will latch and clip in and lock. Otherwise it'll still keep moving about, and it will then just come open all the time, which is a nuisance, which is these are renowned for. That's what happens to them. Whilst I was working on it, I took it all apart. There are other videos around on the internet. I'm not going to show it all now, which show you how to pull all this apart and so on. I've got the backing is down here, which it's all got to be put back into, and the lid section here. I'll reassemble that shortly. I've had to use some epoxy here and there where that's not so good, and also on the end of there, that one was broken off, which is the same as that one there. So what I did with this one, I used an electrical eyelet, which is normally crimped onto wires and things when you're doing a little electrical jobs. Found one with a hole the right size. I took the plastic off it and clipped the back of it and bent it so it would face, and that would give me a base, and I epoxied it down first and then came back again a day later and continued over with that and copied the other side, and it all come up very nicely indeed. Anyway, I've used that JB Weld product. In this case, there are a few other things around, but this, I've had so much success before with this stuff. It is really good. I've even used it on inlet manifolds on vehicles where there's parts eaten away on the facings on the inside, and you can drill it, weld it, drill it and plane it, file it, whatever you like with it. Okay, so I had to get some of these lugs here to make some screws to fit screws that are like that with a nice flat head on them, so they'll be flush. To try and get that in focus there, because the upholstery piece, the back piece here, put it down there. Anyway, it needs to be a nice flush fit across here, otherwise things won't meet up properly on the edging here, and you'll have trouble putting it back together and screwing it in. It's all held in by a hole in here and a lug and everything, and screws from the other side. I used elastic bands to hold all this together while I was fiddling with things and trying to get things right. Now, so if you go to Jaguar Electronics or Alltronics, I've got these little 3mm threaded screws with flat head and tapered from Alltronics. They did the job great. I've had a look at several other things from Jaguars. These lugs here, which could have been cut down, and I ended up with using these guys, little nylon plastic lugs, tapped out and everything. M3, 6mm long, just perfect. I had to grind them down a little bit. There's one there. Let's try and get it in focus there. And that's them there. I got my hinges all worked out to fit on. Sorry, just hold on a sec, bear with me. I got everything married up correctly and sitting nicely on there, and it sat in nicely and flush, similar to, there's some sample cutouts I did and failed, and I got some other ones made up. There's some blanks, and there's a hinge I've used, and it was a really long one, so I had to get in between where the bolts were and cut the hinges with a thin blade and an angle grinder. Sorry, yeah, here we go. So there's the two I've ended up with that I've made. Now we'll go in like such. There, and that pin there matches perfectly in line with that lug. So once I'd got this side here on first, then I was able to bolt up those lugs onto this side, the shorter side, and dropped it down onto there, and just carefully set this side so it was in position, and left it laying in position there. Then I've just put a little smidge of the epoxy at the base of each one on the back of it, and then left it to dry overnight, and then into the next day a bit. Then I undid the screws, flipped it over off of it and freed up this half of the lid. Then I continued on with the epoxy work. And this is very strong stuff. That won't let go at all. That way all screws are hidden, everything's inside and you can't see anything. I used some very, very thin 3mm washers there, which I also got from the electronics shop. Some of these sort of things are available from a model hobby shop, but I found they're out of stock, so anyway I've ended up with those. I'm very happy with it. It's going to work quite well. I've already tested it. So these lugs on this side here are already there, and I've used little tiny self tappers to go into those two, and the other side has the threaded ones in those made up ones. I've just added a little epoxy here and there into places for a little bit extra strengthening on the lugs and so on, and I filled in. These are normally hollow all around here, so I've filled them in a bit to try and give it a little extra strength, and hopefully I shouldn't have any more trouble out of that again. So okay, that's the nuts and bolts of it. I've got to get to and put all this back together now, and yeah, good luck with your project. There's the hinge. That's the hinge I used that I've cut down. Buying that long hinge was only about $12, so at Bunnings Hardware, and I was able to get several goes. You get several attempts because there's quite a bit left over. And okay.